Hey masters, in this video I want to show you and explain you step by step how you can run an LLM locally in your computer and how you can have also a kind of UI to have a small ChatGPT UI in your computer as well. So I hope that you enjoy it. Let's take a look of how it works. Masters, all the steps that I'll be following in this video are documented in this repository, local LLM and UI. I'll be using a couple of global dependencies here, pyenv to specify the Python version that I'll be using, and then virtual environment to have a small environment where I can test my stuff in the project, Once I have done that, you will need to install the Python version 3.11 if you want to follow the same steps that I'll be doing over here. This is because UI dependency that we're gonna have. But if you're not gonna use the same UI, you can change the Python version for the one that you need, to be honest. I don't think there is a specific requirement on that to run LLMs, Then I'll create this particular virtual environment with this name. And when you go to your text editor, you just have to, create source the activate file to run the virtual environment, and that's all that you need to do to have this same setup that I'll be using over here. Okay. Well, to run our LLMs locally, we need a service named Ollama. What is Ollama? Well, as you can see over here, Ollama is an open source tool that allows you to run large language models directly in your local machine. This makes it ideal for AI developers, researchers, business, and all these people that want to try this, to be honest. And what is the main advantage of this? And it is that by running local models, you maintain full data ownership and avoid the potential security risks associated with cloud storage. For instance, when you use ChatGPT, you're sharing all the information with OpenAI, for instance, right? In this case, running a local LLM is going to be kind of secure. However, you're going to require a lot of hardware to run the same LLM that you can access by cloud, all right? So there are some trade-offs, but if you want to try something in specific, you don't want to spend money trying that, I think this is a very good idea. And let's see how we can use Ollama for running LLMs. The steps are simple, are documented in the README, and the first one is this one: brew install Ollama. This is gonna install the library and all the dependencies that you need. All right, that's the first one. Then we need to start the service of Ollama using this command: brew services start Ollama. This is gonna be the second important step in our setup. Then we just need to install the model that we want. How we can choose that, how we can see how many models do we have available. Well, there is a website in the Ollama website, ollama.com/search, where you can see all the models available for use. They are kind of free for you, and you can install them and try them if you can. All right, so for instance, I can see the GPT-OSS, which is the one of the most recent ones that you probably have seen in the social media, right? And as you can see, I have a couple of models, of versions under this model. I have the 20 billion parameter option and the 120 billion, So, you just have to specify the model that you want, like this, GPT-OSS, column 20 billion, copy that, and that's gonna be the name that you need to let your service know that you want to install locally. All right, now that you have that identified, you can just run a simple command. It's important to let you know that I'll be using DeepSeek R1 because my computer right now is not capable to run the GPT-OSS. I'm sorry. So I'll be using DeepSeek R1, and I'll be using the 8 billion model. All right, so as you can see in the README, the command that we need to use is let me look for it, Ollama run DeepSeek R1 8 billion. Okay, that's the command that we need to use. I'll be going to cursor. All right, let me just expand this a little bit and let me run that particular command. to show you that this is gonna work. I'm gonna paste it over here, and there it is. It's important that I also, well, left you in the README the specific command to run the GPT-OSS 20 billion if you have enough hardware to run it. All right, so it's gonna be the same stuff, and while you have that, you can see that in my terminal it is saying send a message. So I'll be asking, can you tell me what is the capital of Spain? All right, and it is gonna start thinking, as you can see in the console. Okay, user is asking for the capital of Spain, blah 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 blah. It is thinking. All right, and after a few seconds, the model responds: the capital of Spain is Madrid. Would you like to know why Madrid is considered the capital? It was officially designated as Madrid capital, and the date, and more information about this. As you can see, well, now we have a model, to be specific, the DeepSeek R1 8 billion parameter version in our local computer. It was so simple, right? It's pretty simple, to be honest. And that's basically all that you need to do. Now, I want to show you that you can expose the LLM by a couple of ways. One is the API way, so you can send requests to get responses. And there is another one that is, well, syncing the API with the UI. So let's do it. It's gonna be fun. We just saw that we can interact with the model by terminal, but now we're gonna use a UI, right, to interact with the model. How you can do it? It's pretty easy. We're gonna be using the tool Open-WebUI. All right, this one over here. If I open it, you're gonna see that Open-WebUI is an extensible, feature-rich, and user-friendly, self-hosted and API platform designed to operate entirely offline. It supports various LLM runners like Ollama, OpenAI compatible APIs with built-in interface engine for RAG, and so on. Awesome, masters. So the installation is so simple. The first thing that you have to do is install this particular dependency, Open-WebUI. The only requirement for this dependency is that you run Python 3.11. This is important because if you are not using this one, you're gonna have compatibility issues. That's why I was using that version of Python, okay? Once you install that, it's gonna be pretty simple. You just need to run the command Open-WebUI serve. But first of all, masters, please make sure to run the command Ollama serve. This is gonna expose an API where you can interact with the model, all right? This is the command that you need to do. So I'm gonna copy it and pasted it in my terminal, and as you can see, we're gonna have this particular error, which is expected. Basically, this is the URL that we can use to send requests to the API and interact with the model. We're gonna see that in the last part of the video, how you can use Postman or request or something to interact with the LLM by API. So please bear with me, okay? But once you have done that, you just need to use the command Open-WebUI serve, and it is gonna start the service of the Open-WebUI. And after a few seconds, you're gonna see that if I visit this particular URL, localhost, and the port 8080, I'm gonna be able to have a beautiful UI, just like this one. And now, as you can see, I can select more than one model if we have it. But in my case, I'll be using the one that I just installed, which is DeepSeek R1. So I can ask, what is the capital of Costa Rica? Because that's the country where I live in. And after a few seconds, it's gonna start thinking. And as you can see, this is the thinking process. Okay, user is asking about the capital of Costa Rica. This seems like a straightforward geography questions, blah, 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 blah. And after 11 seconds, I have this particular answer. The capital city of Costa Rica is San Jose, is the largest city in the country, blah, 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 blah. It's awesome. So now we have a UI interacting with the local model, and that's simple but interesting. It is gonna, well, it's gonna be a tool for you, masters, I think so. So please try it out. But now we're gonna start the interaction with the model, but now using a request. Let's take a look at that. The last part of this video is to interact with a local LLM, but using an API request, all right? I'll show you how you can do it pretty easily. I'll go and open the cursor code editor, and the first thing that I'll be doing is go to the extension marketplace and look for Jupyter. There is Jupyter, you can just install that, and that's the first thing that you have to do. That's all. Then you can clone my repo if you want to, and you're gonna have access to this beautiful file where I'll be doing some stuff step by step. First of all, I'll be installing the library requests, all right? And I just have to run it just to have it installed in my computer. Once you have that, I need to start the Ollama server. How you can do it? Well, I just need to use the command brew services start Ollama. And to get this running using this particular Jupyter Notebook file, you have to place this particular sign at the beginning. If you are not gonna use that, it's gonna fail because I tested it, you know. Then I'm gonna execute this, and you can see that the service Ollama already started, so I can continue with the next step. The next step is gonna be Ollama serve. This is the same command that we saw before to expose the API URL and port. So I'm gonna do it. Just take a look at this, and this is the URL and port that it's exposed for us to use it. That's it. All right. Then we're gonna use the requests library to execute this particular request. We're gonna create a URL variable. As you can see, I'm gonna be using the same URL over here. I'll be using the IP and port that we exposed in this particular URL variable, and then I'll be hitting the endpoint API generate. Okay, that's the URL that we need to use. Then I need to create this particular object where I am gonna be sending the model that I want to use. This is the name of the model that we downloaded before. If you're using GPT-OSS and I don't know, maybe 20 billion parameter version, you just have to use it over here, and then you can use any prompt that you want to test, and then stream false. This is important because if you set it as a true, it's gonna have a different result. You can try it for sure. All right, now that you have the URL and the payload name data, well, you just have to do the request using the requests library. In my case, I'll be using a post request. I'll be sending the URL and the payload. And as simple as that, well, if the response is okay, I'll be printing the response in the console. And if it is not okay, we're gonna have an error and we're gonna print it over here as well, you know. That's it. So I'll be asking to the model, what is the capital of, I don't know, maybe let's change it to United States, right? And I'll be executing this just to prove that this is working. So as you can see, it is executing this, and after a few seconds, it is going to start the thinking process, and we're going to have a response. So let's see how it works. All right, now this is the response. Okay, the user asked about the capital of United States, and well, this is the response. The capital of United States is Washington, D.C. All right, so as you can see, as simple as that, we can also interact with our local LLM by API requests. Of course, you can use Postman, for instance, to hit the API and send the payload that you want. And that's it for now, masters. I think I'm so happy to finish this video for you, and I hope that you enjoy it. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye.